they would stop the ambulance and they would sit me up, and then they would get their stethoscope to listen, and they would listen on my back, and they'd say, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So I knew that something was really wrong. And I asked them, what is wrong? And they said, we don't know, but it doesn't sound good. So I wasn't sure whether I was even going to live to get to the hospital. And then when we got to the hospital, there was 5 doctors working on me. Because the way the lung had punctured was very unusual, and it was very life-threatening. It was very close to me not being here today. Now, I tell you that story because it was a traumatic event in my life. And it was something that changed my beliefs, and it changed my identity. Now, I've never been the same person since that accident 3 years ago. And I learned the power of your values and your beliefs and your identity. And I learned how quickly they can change. Many things that happen to you in life will just pass by and nothing will change. But there will be a few moments in each one of your lives that will be dramatic. And they will change your values and change your identity. If you have a parent that passes away, a mother or a father, that can change the way you look at life. If you have a divorce with your husband or wife, that can change your life. If you ever lost a child, that would change your life. And in business, there are many things that can change a person's identity as well. If you've ever had a business failure, that can really affect your mind. Because you can start to think that you're not good at business. It changes your identity. So I want to focus on identity, and I want to focus on values, and particularly core values. Now, we all have values in our life. And what I mean by values is all the things in our life we put into an order of value. So we rank everything in our life. So if it's making money, if that's number 1, then it's at the top. If family is number 1, then it's at the top. If friendship is number 1, it's at the top. And then there's number 2, and number 3, and number 4, and number 5. And these things control you. They determine the decisions that you make in business and in life. If you have a high value of making money, like really high, then you might prefer to stay at the office and work late rather than on a Saturday, rather than go to your brother's birthday, because the family value is less than making money. This is a list of core values. And why I've got it on here for you is because I would love you to Google and do some tests on your core values. So these are very simple tests, and you can go online and you'll find them in Vietnamese, and all you do is you go to the lists and you write down your top 10 values, the things that are important to you. My values are going to be different to your values. Your values are going to be different to his values. His values are different to her values. But go online and test it. Now, the second part of that is get a close friend. Or maybe it's your husband or wife or girlfriend, boyfriend. Get them to rank your values. So get them to do the same exercise on you. And then get 4 other friends to do it. So you have 5 people plus yourself do the exercise. And you might be really surprised. I just did this recently, and a good friend of mine, I asked her if she could do it for me. She knows me very well. And I wrote the ones that I thought were my values, and she put leadership as one of my values. And I didn't even think about it. And she said, "You're definitely a leader. Look at what you do around the world. Look at what you do with other coaches. But you're a very quiet leader." And that was an amazing thing to hear from somebody else. So I would love you to write down there in your notes, do a core values test on yourself and get some others to do the core values test as well. Action Coach has a set of core values for Action Coach. So we call them the points of culture, but it's the same thing. It's the core values. It's the things that it's the things that are important to the organization. So you can see on here there's some of our things that are important to us as Action Coaches. Commitment is important. Ownership is important. Integrity. Excellence is important. I love excellence as a core value. Not just for Action Coach, but for us as people. We want to be excellent in business. We want to be excellent in our products and services, excellent in our communication with others. Communication is another one. Success, education, teamwork. There's 14 points of culture for Action Coach. If you haven't done this for your business, then I would suggest that you talk to one of the Action Coaches and ask if they can give you these ones to help you get started. So ask them for the Action Coach points of culture. So, some of you may have seen the identity iceberg, and I just want to talk about a couple of things with the identity iceberg. This is something that we teach all our clients all over the world. The interesting thing about an iceberg is that only 10% of the iceberg is visible above the waterline. 90% of the iceberg is below the waterline. And it's the same for human beings. We only see in the room. Now, those beliefs can be changed, and that's something else that we work with our clients and Action Coaches. We help people change their beliefs on things. When we talk about the money later on, I'll talk about some beliefs that will help you with making more money in your business. The values are the things I talked about before. The values are core values. The identity that you don't see with people is the self-talk in their head. And I know that happens in Vietnam as well, that you have a little voice in your head that talks to you. Just give me a nod if that's true. Give me a nod. Yep. So there's a little voice that talks to you. And that little voice is very powerful because it changes your identity, because the more it talks to you, the more it strengthens your identity. It's like a big field of corn. And you walk through the field of corn and you trample a path. And you walk through once and there's just a little path through the corn that you can see. And then you walk through again and you trample it some more. And you walk through again and you trample it more. And you walk through and you walk through. And now you've trampled a path through the corn. And that's what happens in your mind with your identity. You talk to yourself and you strengthen the pathway so that it becomes reality for you, that type of identity. So the best way to find out your identity, and make sure you write this down, is to write out I am, and then put whatever you think you are after that. So I am good at marketing. I am good at leadership. I am. You can also put a negative on your identity when you say, I am not. A very common one with business owners is, I am not good with names. Or I am not good at marketing. Or I am not good with numbers. I am not good with social media. So every time you say that to yourself, it's like walking through that cornfield and you're strengthening that connection. So you've got to be very conscious of what's happening in your mind with that little voice. Because that identity is what is going to help you grow your business and be successful, or not grow your business. Because if you say, I'm not good at marketing, and it becomes real for you, then how can you grow your business? Or if you say, I'm not good at numbers or financials, then a few months later, we'll find that your business is in trouble because you weren't watching the numbers. So be very careful what you're saying to yourself. And if you ignore it, then that's actually like programming it. Because if you ignore it, then it programs itself. So each morning, each evening, it's good to sit down by yourself, quiet, and think, I am good at, and write down the things that your identity, the identity that you want as a business owner. I've had a lot of successful businesses, and I wasn't successful at the start, but I changed my identity. This is one of the big things I did. We could talk about marketing, we could talk about sales, we could talk about making money, but really the most powerful thing I did was change my mind. And for some of you in the room, it'll be the most powerful thing that you do, is start to think differently. And it's just small changes for a start off. Remember the graph, small changes, big results. The last thing I want to say about the identity iceberg is the bottom piece, the water that the iceberg sits in. We call it the environment. The environment that you put yourself in is really important for your success. Because you could choose to put yourself in a positive environment or a negative environment. You could choose to be with positive friends, or you could choose to be with negative friends. We have three major parts of our life that help form our identity. The first part is our parents, because we're with our parents all the time. So we start to form our identity from the experiences we have with our parents. So if your parents were hardworking but never had any money, then that is the identity you start to form. But if your parents didn't have to work very hard but they still made lots of money, then that's the identity that you form. The second big influence on your life is between about 12 to 20 years old. And this is the time that you're with your friends. So you make your friends at school, and then you start to move away from your parents. You spend less time with your parents and more time with your friends. When I was in that age from 12 to 20, I was really, really naughty. My parents often had the police knocking on the door because of things I had done. And when I think back to those times, all my friends were the same. We were always getting in trouble, all of us. So it was the environment I was in, and I was choosing to be in that environment. The third big influence that you have in your lives is your workmates. And it could be, if you're a business leader, it could be your team. So as a business leader, you have a responsibility to create a very good environment. You have a responsibility to create that environment so that your team is in a positive environment. I see some business owners, when I start working with them, and they make jokes about their customers. And the team make jokes about the customers. Not in a nice way. And so one of the first things I do is I stop that. I stop that culture. Because it's such a negative environment to be making fun of customers or to be making fun of other team members. So as business leaders, you have to be careful with the culture that you have in your business. You have that responsibility to give your team members and your customers an amazing, positive experience. And you have the control to do that. It's very exciting, but it's also a responsibility. So if you feel that you need to change the culture and the environment in your business, then again, maybe you need to talk to one of the coaches here and ask how we do that with business owners. The last thing I want to say about environment is that you have control of your own environment outside of your business and outside of work. So if you go home and you watch a lot of TV that is negative, then you start to feel negative in your mind. The American TV, CBS, I think it is, the channel, the CBS channel, it's all negative news. There is people getting shot in this piece of news, and there's a big flood and people dying in this piece of news, And there's a big fire in California in this piece of news. And this goes on and on and on all day. And I've been in houses where the TV is playing all day. Negative, negative, negative. And it starts to get inside your mind. It starts to make you feel negative. It starts to make you feel like talking about the flood and the fire and the people getting shot. You want to talk to other people, so you make other people negative. So be careful of your environment at home as well. Be careful of the music you listen to. Be careful of the books you read. Be careful of the YouTube videos you watch. Just ask yourself, are these positive or negative? Do I really want these in my life? Because as a business owner, you just want positive input into your brain. This stuff makes a big, big difference to your identity. So I want to do this again. Can you give me a thumbs up if that makes sense? Yes. Good. Perfect. Okay. Here's some of the things that, as a business owner, that is very powerful for you to adopt in your identity. So if you write out your I am statements, these are things you could put on them. I am good at marketing. I am good at sales. I am good at recruitment. I am good at finances. I am good at writing books. I am good at systems. I am good at time management. So I want to get you started on changing your identity as a business owner. And if you need help, talk to the coaches in the room with the red jackets. Let's talk about time mastery. 168 is a special number because 168 hours is the number of hours that we have in New Zealand each week. And it's the number of hours that you have in Vietnam each week. And it's the number of hours that Richard Branson from Virgin and Warren Buffett, Donald Trump, they all have 168 hours. And everybody does different things with the 168 hours. But that's all you have. Here's a split of some of your time. We spend about 56 hours sleeping each week. So it's about 8 hours each night. Now, it may not feel like you're getting 8 hours sleep, but you're probably lying in bed for 8 hours. We have 42 hours for eating and commuting, and for our family time. We spend about 40 hours, maybe some people in the room, 50 hours working. But we still have 30 hours that we can work on ourselves. Now, many of you are probably thinking, 30 hours? Where are my 30 hours? But you do have the 30 hours, it's just that you're choosing to use them in a different way. One of the big things that made a big difference to me when I started as a business owner was I said on a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday evening, I would work on me. So I'd work on my personal development. I teach all the coaches I work with the same thing. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday evening. For maybe 2 hours, 2 hours, 2 hours. So work on learning things that will help you in business. Now, the rest of the days, you can do what you want. You can watch TV, watch movies, sleep, ride motorcycles, whatever you want to do. But just allocate Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday evenings for working on yourself. If you take that message from me today and start doing that, that will absolutely change things for you. Now, what do you start working on is an important question. I like to say, let's work on the things that you know that you are weak at. The things that will help you in business, but you're not strong at doing. So if it is social media marketing, then it's time to learn about social media marketing. If it's understanding your financials, your profit and loss, your balance sheet, your cash flow, if it's understanding that, then work on that. If it's sales, if it's choosing people, whatever it is, find the thing that you're weakest at and start working on it. Because as a business owner, you have to be very good at a lot of things. I meet too many business owners who are good at doing the business and then good at sales. But they're not good at all these things. And the problem with that is that if you're not good at financials, then you don't ask good questions. So you don't ask your accountant about the right things, and you don't ask the right questions about saving tax, and you don't ask the right questions about the structure of your company. So you do have to know a lot about a lot of things. You can't get through business just knowing some things. With the Action Coach system, we have a 6-step system that teaches everybody all of these things. So our coaches work to teach you all the things that you need to know so that you can ask really good questions. And every minute counts because 1 hour has 60 minutes. So if you're wasting minutes, you will start wasting hours. Every minute, we have a decision of what we could do. So, as an example, we could choose to check our phone to see what our friends have done on social media. That's one decision. Or we could pick up a business book and read 2 pages. See, it's only a little difference. It's the small things make big results. Because at the end of a month, you've probably read a business book. And if you've just checked social media, then you haven't added anything to your life. I do it too. I check my Facebook and my LinkedIn, my WeChat, my Viber, my WhatsApp. I check them. But I try to discipline myself not to do it all the time. And instead, I try and listen to something about business or read a book. So when I have a cup of coffee at home, I have a break and a cup of coffee, I always have a business book sitting on the kitchen bench with a bookmark in it. And it's a habit. I've formed the habit of opening the book and reading while I'm drinking my coffee, while I'm having a break. And I read a lot of books just by doing that. So we're going to talk about habits, and we'll talk about routines and rules and rituals, because these are the things that will help you grow yourselves and grow your business. Oops. Warren Buffett, world's wealthiest man, $84 billion. He says it's not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. And the way I look at that is, you can just do normal things and get amazing results. But every minute you have to choose, am I going to do this or am I going to do this? And every one of us in the room has that decision. When Anna wrote her book, the same as me, she made the decision to start writing the book. So she turned this way instead of that way. I said earlier, everybody in this room could probably write a book on something. There is an amazing amount of experience in this room. You've just got to make the choice to start writing. And it seems like a big task to write all these pages. But there's companies that you can ask to help you. There's one in Sydney that is very good. They helped me put all my ideas down on paper and then start to build the book. But it's all a decision. Anna and I are not smarter than you. Well, Anna might be. We just made different decisions. And one of them was to write a book. And another one is to help business owners. This is one of the tools that we use to see where your time is going as a business owner. This is called the Fun Skill Matrix. You can get a copy of this from the coaches. There's also in my book, there's a copy of it. And how it works is, you look at every task that you're doing during your day, during your week, and you put it in one of these boxes. So up this side we have low fun, high fun. So these are the things that are enjoyable that we're doing in our business. And there'll be a lot of things that are enjoyable for you. But there'll be some things that are not enjoyable. Down the bottom here we have low skill and high skill. These are the things that at the bottom, they don't take a person of much skill to be able to complete them. Sweeping the floor is not a high skill. Clearing the dishes at a restaurant is not a high skill. Some of the marketing tasks for your business are not high skill. Some are, some aren't. So you take all the tasks and you put them into this box. And then you can start to see where your time is going. Because we only have 168 hours for the week. So we have to make sure that we're doing the highest yield things that we can be doing. So we always want to be working on things that are here, all the high skill things. Some of them won't be enjoyable. Some of them will be enjoyable, but these are the things. So I'll give you some examples. Going to see customers or clients is high skill. It needs you guys to do that. Following up on a quote is normally a high skill thing. Finding out why you haven't been paid by a customer can be a high skill. Some of the marketing will be a high skill. Some of the sales will be high skill. This is where you need to put your energy. Many business owners that we meet as coaches are doing low skill activities. The more you do the high skill, the higher your dollars per hour. Does anyone think that's a good idea? Give me a thumbs up. Perfect. So, discipline. This is one of the most important things as a human being. This will give you all the results and all the things that you want in life or not. Because you can know all the theory, you could have all the tools, you could have someone telling you what to do, but if you don't have the discipline, then you won't achieve things. There's a picture of a bridge here. Because the way I see discipline is, we're standing here, and there's a whole lot of goals that we want to achieve. Some things for ourselves, some things for our family, things in our business. On this side. Then there's this river, and it's deep, and it's running fast, and you can't just walk through it. And over this side is the accomplishment. This is where you've achieved everything. And you have to build this bridge. Discipline. This bridge is called discipline to get over to the other side. And the bridge is made of stones. And all these stones are different things that will build your discipline. So we'll talk about some of these things that will help with your discipline as a business owner and help you achieve the things you want to achieve on this side of the river. Sometimes you build the bridge and it collapses because you didn't build it strong enough. You start and you think, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then it collapses. In the Western world, a lot of people make promises to themselves in the first month of the year. So we have Christmas, and then people say, I'm going to lose 10 kgs of weight, or I'm going to make more money with my business. And they start building this bridge of discipline, and it's not strong enough. And their identity isn't strong enough, their mind. And it collapses. So it normally lasts about 2 weeks. And then they go back to normal, the way they were. Does that happen in Vietnam? I thought so. So let's talk about some of the things that will help you with discipline. Gordon Ramsay said that if you want to achieve a level of success that is above the normal, then you have to set disciplines that most people don't even want to hear about. The reason it's hard is because we build a comfort zone. And inside that comfort zone, we've achieved the things to a certain level that we want. And outside of that comfort zone are the things that we really, really want. And we come to seminars and speakers, and we write down the things that we would like to have. But they're outside of our comfort zone. And so it seems really hard to break from there out to where we want to achieve the things that we really want to achieve. And it is hard. If you wanted to run a marathon on the Wall of China, so run 42 kilometers on the Wall of China, I think that would be pretty hard. That would be outside of my comfort zone. But it's achievable by pushing hard and by setting the disciplines to do the training each day, each week, each month to achieve the goal. Because you'll never be always motivated. Sometimes you won't feel like doing it. Sometimes it'll be hard. And you need to have some things in place so that you continue doing the things you need to do. My quote from me says, "Discipline is the training that I give to myself to accomplish a certain task or adopt a particular pattern of behavior, even though I would really rather be doing something else." There's always a trade-off in life for doing anything. The trade-off for me to come here and speak to you, which I wanted to do, was that I had to sit on a plane for 3 planes for 20 hours. And I had to eat plane food. So there's always something hard that you have to do to achieve something great. So for me, to come and speak to you is something great, but I had to do something hard to get here. I had to leave my family. I had to leave my motorcycles. My family is more important, okay? So, let's talk about routines, rituals, and rules for yourself. Now, we spell rituals like this. R-I-C-H, rich. Like rich with money. Because when you put rituals in place, it will help you become rich. So it all starts with the habits that you form. And I want to talk to you about what happens with habits. We have a series of things, from the trigger to the action to the reward. So we can have good habits and we can have bad habits in our personal life and in our business life. An example of a bad habit might be smoking cigarettes. And so we have this trigger that might be, as we walk out of a building onto the street, we feel like we should have a cigarette because we have a habit. And so we pull out our packet of cigarettes and we light a cigarette. So the trigger was walking outside of the building. For other people, the trigger for having a cigarette might be drinking a beer or drinking coffee. But there's always a trigger with a habit. And then there's the action. So we smoke the cigarette, and then there's the reward, which is the benefit of smoking the cigarette. And for most people, if you smoke cigarettes in this room, you think that the benefit is it makes you feel calm. The crazy thing with cigarette smoking is that it makes your body go crazy. Your blood pressure rises when you smoke. So even though you feel calm, your body doesn't feel calm, which is crazy. But this is the cycle that happens with every habit. And this is where you have to start, so that you look at, if you want to break a habit, you have to look at what's triggering it and what the reward is. So I used to smoke a packet a day of cigarettes. And I had to break the habit, because I would have a cigarette when I left a building. I would have a cigarette when I had coffee. I'd have a meal and I'd have a cigarette afterwards. And so I had to break the trigger and do something else. For me, I started chewing gum. So instead of pulling a cigarette out, I would pull some chewing gum and chew gum. And then finally, I didn't chew gum either. But I had to break the cycle. Now, as business owners, there's going to be habits that you've got that you want to break. Some of those habits will be around your time. Some of those habits might be in the way that you're leading people. You know, your response to people when something goes wrong, that can be a trigger. That can be a trigger for you to become angry. Many of the clients I've had over the years have been angry people. And I've worked with them to break that habit, break the cycle. One of the guys in New Zealand used to get angry if they had a bad customer. If the customer was not pleasant, he would get very angry. Not with the customer. When the customer had left, he would kick the wall. And he would kick holes in the wall. So we had to look at the trigger of the customer. Because you guys, the same in New Zealand, you guys are always going to get customers that are good, and you're going to get customers that are not as good. And it was the same for my guy, my client. He's always going to get customers that are fantastic, and he's always going to get customers that are hard to deal with. And so we looked at that trigger and we said, okay, maybe you need to think about the customers differently. When they make you feel angry, you need to recognize the anger and then make yourself feel different. And so we recognized the trigger, and then we used a different response. This is all mindset. And it totally changed his business, and it changed his relationship with his staff or team. When I met him, he was a mechanic. Or he is a mechanic. And he had one mechanic that was very, very good, and one mechanic that was no good. And he had an office lady that was no good. But nobody wanted to work for him because he got angry and kicked holes in the wall. And everybody knew that he got angry. So we changed that, and it took about 1 year to change his mind and change his anger. And then we looked at the people, and we helped the office lady leave, and we helped the mechanic leave. And then we advertised, and interviewed using the Action Coach system, and we got fantastic people. And it completely changed his whole business. I went to his 50th birthday party. It was a surprise party, and his wife asked me to come along because I become good friends with my clients. And many of his friends said to me that evening, "Oh, you're the business coach. Wow, you have made a big difference to Warren. He is so much calmer, so much better now." So even his friends could see the difference. But it all started back here by breaking the cycle. If you want to break some habits, I would suggest that you look at the triggers, you look at what you're doing it for the habit, and you look at the reward. And you've really got to replace the reward. Recognize the trigger, stop doing the action, and replace the reward. It'll change your life. I want to run through some of the rituals that I have and that I've taught other business owners. Would you like to see some of the rituals? Yes? Okay. So in the morning, there's 3 things that I teach my clients and I teach other coaches and I do myself. The first one is gratitude. Give gratitude. Be thankful for things in your life. There's a lot of things you can be thankful for. You can be thankful that the sun rose this morning and it looked beautiful. You can be thankful that the park is beautiful this morning. You can be thankful that you live in Ho Chi Minh. You can be thankful for your family. You can be thankful for many, many things. What I would suggest is that you write down your gratitudes each morning. Just invest 6 minutes writing down gratitudes. I am happy for this. I am happy for this. I love this. It will put you into a very good state of mind for the day. Many, many times over the years, I've got up in the morning angry or grumpy, didn't have a good enough sleep, and then the rest of the day is awful. So many of you have probably experienced that. But by saying gratitudes in the morning, that will make you very positive right from the start of the day. The second thing is IVVM. You may not have heard of IVVM. It is when you idealize, visualize, verbalize, and things will materialize. So the first part of it is internalize. First thing in the morning, think about what you would like to have in your life. What changes you'd like to have, what you'd like to have in your business. The next piece is visualize it. Like a movie, like a photograph. Visualize what that looks like. Get very clear on what that looks like for you. All the coaches in the room here help clients to do vision boards. So a vision board is something where you can visualize all the things you'd like in your life. whether it be money or nice house or friends or travel or whatever it is. And then the next bit is verbalize it. So say it out loud. Confirm with your mind that these are the things that you're achieving. This whole thing, another 6 minutes, 10 minutes, that's all it takes each morning. Makes a big difference. And the last thing is exercise. We're human beings. We're designed to move. We're not designed to get up, have breakfast, sit in a car, drive to the office, sit in the office, drive home. We need to move. And first thing in the morning, there's lots of things happen when you exercise. It gets the blood flowing in your body. It gets your heartbeat higher. Moves your muscles. You're probably the same as me. When you do exercise, you feel like you have more energy afterwards, not less. And when I say exercise in the morning, it can be anything from stretching, yoga, walking, running, swimming, going to the gym, just doing some exercises in your hotel room, like I do. When I travel, I just do some exercises in the morning. I did them this morning at 5 a.m. because I know how much difference it makes as a morning ritual. Does anybody in the room go to the gym? Can you raise your hand if you go to the gym? Oh, wow. That's great. Okay. So I love going to the gym. That's my exercise. I lift heavy weights and I enjoy it, but it makes me feel good in the mornings. So does anybody in the room think they need to look at their morning rituals? Just raise your hand if you think you need to look at your morning rituals. Yeah? Okay. Do it. There's a guy whose name is Robin Sharma. You might want to write that down, Robin Sharma. And he's written quite a few books. He's an American guy. And he wrote the famous book, When the Monk Sold His Ferrari, I think it is. But he also wrote a book called The 5 a.m. Club. And he goes into more details here about how to work on your mindset, your heart set, your health set, and your soul set. It's worth getting that book and reading about how to do things in the morning in the 5 a.m. Club. Now, one thing I've noticed around the world is that our phones, and I see that everybody in the room has one, often our phones are costing us our success. This is a screenshot of my phone last week. 13 hours on social media last week. It's not good. 4 hours, 21 minutes each day on my phone. So I have some work to do as well. But a lot of that time could be saved and used in a better way. I worry about the next generation because my children are on their phones and iPads just about all day. and I think it's the same in Vietnam. Instead of going outside and playing, instead of building things, instead of doing the things that I did when I was young, my kids are on iPads or on screens playing games. I think we need to be careful of this, and that's why I brought it up. So you guys need to set your own rules around this. And this is one of the things that I've started to do for myself, is put my phone on airplane mode. Now, what I suggest as business owners is you go have a space you can go to work on your business that you don't get interrupted. We have around the world a policy now of open door. So that means the door is open, anybody can come in. And I don't like that policy. I think we should have a closed door policy. And I think when the door's closed, we put our phone on airplane mode, or we leave our phone in another room, and we just work on the business so that we don't get distracted. So this is one of the rules I use when I work at home in my office, is I leave my phone in the kitchen so that I don't get distracted when I'm working. But you need to make your own rules. This could be a rule for you, might not be a rule for you. It's up to you. Rules when you're driving or when you're commuting. Interesting, Warren Buffett has always lived about 5 minutes from his business. And the main reason for that is he didn't want to waste time driving to work. Because if you think about how many minutes, how many hours of your life are spent commuting, it's a lot. But if you are going to commute, even if you're going to walk or take the bus or use a scooter or have a driver, then think about what you're doing in that time. Jim Rohn, the famous business philosopher, talks about the automobile university. We have all this time in a car that we can use to educate ourselves. I read just recently of a guy who learnt to speak a second language by walking to work in London. So what happened was, he was listening to music every morning, walking to work, 30 minutes, 40 minutes to work, and then walking home, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And then he thought, wow, that's a lot of time. Maybe I can do something different. And so he started to learn a second language. Within 1 year, he was fluent in that language. And then he thought, I can learn a third language. And then a fourth language. And I think he's up to number 5 languages now. It's pretty good use of his time. But for you as business owners, what a fantastic time to learn more about marketing, or more about financials, or more about business philosophy or mindset. So be aware of the time that you're spending commuting, and try and see if you can turn it into something that is productive for you. It'll change your life. It'll change your business. TV. I notice around the world, a lot of people come home from work and just sit down in front of the TV. You have to make your own rules about this. I watch about that much TV, just a tiny, tiny, tiny little piece of TV. What I do is I work out some of the movies I want to watch or some of the programs, and I download them and I just watch those ones. Because I've found with TV, when you sit down and you watch something and it finishes and then something else comes on, then you end up watching that. And then something else comes on and you end up watching that. And you waste a lot of time. So you need to set your own rules around TV. We call it the time vanisher. TV is a time vanisher. Rules around your office space. Now, this is an office of a friend of mine in South Africa. He lives in Johannesburg, and this is his office. He has 2 offices. This office here doesn't have any electronics. No computer, no TV on the wall. It just has books, business books, and his desk, and his chair, and a light. It's a beautiful space. When he's in this environment, that's his learning environment. So every morning he comes out and he goes to this office and he sits down, and just for an hour each day he learns. This is why he is one of the most successful coaches in the world. And it's the same for you as business owners. Find a space where you can go and just work on yourself. They call it critical thinking. So if I was to ask you a question and you answered me quickly, that is gut, from your stomach answer. It is just low-level thinking. So if I said, hey, who are your best customers? You might say, oh, that's easy. Young people are my best customers. So that was a quick response. But when you take time to be with yourself and you ask yourself questions, it jumps to the next level, which is critical thinking. And with critical thinking, you start to think a lot more about the question of who's my customers, and you start to think, well, my best customers are young people and they're males. And they're interested in sports and this and this and this and this. So you start to really define the question by giving a much more critical answer to it with critical thinking. There is a third level, and that's called epiphany. Epiphany thinking. So you have base level thinking, you have critical thinking, and then epiphany. And that's those moments that are like a lightning bolt. Wow. That's epiphany thinking. When Steve Jobs was with Apple and they had the iPod, it was a pretty big success around the world. Remember the iPod Shuffle and all the different iPods? But he had an epiphany one day to build the iPhone. That wasn't just critical thinking, that was an epiphany. What if we could build a device that was like a computer and it was touch sensitive? Steve Jobs changed the world with this phone through epiphany thinking. Now, he didn't do that in a busy, noisy office. He did that when he was by himself and thinking deeply about his business. I want you to take the lesson from that and spend some time thinking about your business and about where you want to go and thinking about all the aspects of your business. Some quiet time. It'll make a huge difference. I often go to the library because it's quiet and you can't use your phone. And I do my thinking there and I write. And that's been one of the reasons that I work all over the world, is because it just didn't happen by accident. I made it happen. because I did a lot of critical thinking about what I wanted from my Action Coach business. And there was two things that I really wanted. One is I wanted global connections. So I wanted connections all over the world. And the second thing is I wanted a very portable business. Somewhere I could work, something I could work with on any beach anywhere in the world. So I can run my business from my phone or my iPad. But that didn't just happen. I had to make that happen, and I had to think about it, and I had to ask myself all the questions. So I encourage you to go from this and really start thinking at a critical level about your business. Take some time. So that could be one of your rules, that every week, or perhaps even every day, you have a rule that you do some critical thinking. Rules around sleep habits. There's a lot of people in the world that will say they only need 3 hours sleep or 4 hours sleep. It's not true. Our body needs to rejuvenate. It needs to recreate the cells, and it needs time to do that. And we do need 7 or 8 hours sleep a night. So you've got to create your own rules, and there's lots of things I could talk about here. There's the temperature of your room. There's the noise in your room. There's the time you go to bed. There's the darkness of your room. All these things make a difference. There's a guy, Sam Ovens, and he talks about, he's got a video on YouTube about how to get the best possible sleep so that you can run your business the best way. You need to make your own rules about this. The first rule I would make is don't go to bed too late. Make sure if you want to be asleep at 10, go to bed at 9:30. But start making the rule, discipline yourself to form the habit to do it. Don't go to bed at midnight. Getting a good sleep makes a huge difference to you as a business owner and to your health and fitness as well. Train in the rain. This is a really important rule. If you are training for your Wall of China marathon, and you have a training schedule, and it says, today, Saturday, I have to run 5 kilometers. And you look out the window, and it's raining. Now, there's 2 things you could do. One, you could say, it's raining, and I don't want to run in the rain, so I won't go for my run. Or, number 2, you could say, it's raining, I need to get a jacket. There's a big difference between those 2 things. Because when you guys set goals as business owners, there is always going to be something happen. It's going to start raining. Something's going to change in the market. The government changes something. The exchange rate will change. Something will happen as you go towards your goals. The marketplace shifts. So you have to go, okay, the exchange rate has changed. Or, okay, the government has stopped doing this. Okay, how are we going to achieve our goals? How are we going to push and achieve our goals even though that has happened? So train in the rain as a rule for me is that if I set a goal, then I've got to do it. So I want to talk to you about the 4-minute rule that's in my book. and how it helps with Train in the Rain. So I'm not a runner. I don't like running. Running hurts for me. But I do go running because I know that it is very beneficial for cardiovascular, for your heart and your muscles. So I don't do big runs. I only do 5-kilometer runs. And when I wake in the morning at 5 a.m., I don't want to run. I want to stay in my bed. My bed is warm. My bed is comfortable. So I have to force myself to get out of bed and go across to the other side of the room and get my shoes and shorts and t-shirt and then go out the door. At this stage, I still don't want to run. And then I start running. And I'm starting to breathe. And my muscles are hurting. These ones here, they're hurting. And I still don't want to run. But then I push through that. And I start to warm up. And the blood is flowing in my body. And I'm starting to feel good. And you may have experienced this as well. Halfway through the run, you're feeling really good. Everything's feeling nice. It's feeling great. I love this running. And then at the end, you feel really good because when you run, it releases endorphins, which is a pleasure hormone. And so that's why they call it a runner's high. It's like a drug. And you feel fantastic. I get that same drug when I lift weights, when I'm finished lifting weights. Now, the 4-minute rule is if you can push through the first 4 minutes, then you will get all the benefits of the rest of the time. So if you can push through getting out of bed, getting your running clothes on, getting out the door, starting the run, then you push through the 4 minutes, then you get all the benefit of the other thing. It's the same for me when I go and lift weights. Sometimes I really want to be there and lift weights. Sometimes I don't feel like it. But I push through, and when I get warm, my body says, yes, this is great. But you've got to push through that first few minutes. So when you read my book, you'll read about this, and you'll read how powerful this is. And it applies to everything you do in business. There will be things that you need to do in your business that you haven't done yet. Things that are uncomfortable. Things that are hard to start. Maybe it's a big project that you need to start. And then you start it, and you start putting it together, and it becomes easier. And you start to enjoy it. And then when you've finished it, it feels great. And so it's the same thing. You need to push through those first few minutes so that you can get the big result. So you don't want to be like a child. You want to be like an adult. A child says, oh, it's too hard. You want to be like an adult and say, okay, it's hard, but I am going to do it because I know the result is going to be good. Does that make sense? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. Awesome. Here's another rule with the 4-minute rule that really helps me, and it may help you. And that is, sometimes I miss a training or I miss doing something I have scheduled in my calendar, but I miss it for some reason. So my rule is never miss twice. So as I traveled over here, 20 hours, 3 planes, I missed my training. So I didn't want to miss another day. So I did my exercises in my room. It's just a simple rule, but what can happen is, if you don't have a rule for this, is that you miss once and you think, that didn't matter. And then you miss again, didn't matter, I still feel okay. And you miss again, and now you've got a pattern happening. You've got a habit forming of not doing that. So it's very dangerous. So maybe one of your rules for you as well is never miss twice. So never have a gap of 2 days. Always make it happen. Rule number 3, move with urgency. As business leaders, you want to develop a sense of urgency. You want to move faster than most people move. Act quickly. When I come to an event like this, I take notes, and then as I'm going out the door, I'm on my phone making calls to my PA to get things moving. Because I've heard some good ideas, and I'm saying to her, can you find out more about this? Can you do this? Can you buy this book for me? Can you do this? So I'm making it happen. It's one of the things that will make you different to other business owners. When you hear a good idea, implement it fast. Move with great urgency. So that's not rule number 3. Even Anthony Robbins says the path to success is to take massive, determined action. There are personalities in this room. If you haven't done the DISC profiling for personalities, then you should ask the coaches for that. But there's personalities in this room who will be paralyzed by overanalyzing in your business. You'll hear a good idea and you'll overanalyze it to the point that you don't do anything. I think sometimes you're better to execute quickly, even if it's not 100%. Just do it and see what happens in your business. So you need to make your own rules about that as well. But that's some examples of my rules that may help you. Who wants to talk about making money? Okay. Let's talk about making money. Many business owners I meet say, look, I enjoy my business, but I just don't make any money. Or they tell me I make money, but I don't see where the money is in my business. We have a 6 steps system in Action Coach. This bottom level is called Mastery. And in Mastery we have 4 levels, or four foundations. We have Destination Mastery, Money Mastery, Time Mastery, and Destination Mastery. I want to talk to you about Money Mastery. In Action Coach, we know that all 4 of these are very important. It's like when you build a house and you build the foundations, These four things are the foundations that you build your house on. So you want to build them very strong. Many of you in this room are probably driving your business with a blindfold on when it comes to the numbers. Around the world, I find that most business owners don't look at enough numbers in their business, or they look at the wrong numbers. So I want to show you some examples of some things that you should be looking at in your business. In New Zealand, we have a set of financial records for taxation. And I think it's the same in Vietnam. You have to keep financial information for the taxation. Business owners everywhere think they can run their business from those numbers. But those numbers are designed for tax compliance. They're not designed for business development. So we need to take some of those numbers and we need to add a whole lot more numbers so that we're measuring the right things in our business. If you have a little Cessna 172 aeroplane, it travels at 226 kilometers per hour, which for an airplane is very slow. And you just need a few gauges, just a few simple things. But if you fly the space shuttle, Columbia, it travels at 28,000 kilometers to keep in orbit around the Earth. And in the space shuttle, you need a lot more gauges. If you have a simple little business on the side of a Vietnamese street selling food, you don't need many numbers. Some simple numbers will be okay. But if you have a business like most of you have in this room, you probably need more gauges and more metrics, more optics in your business so that you're watching the right things. Balance, this is a profit and loss sheet. It's also called many names. It's called a statement of financial performance, profit and loss. It's called some other names. But around the world, it's pretty much the same. We have sales, and we have expenses, and then we have profitability. Now, one thing that you should do, one thing you should do here is separate your sales out into different lines. So think through with your coach, what are the different lines of sales we should have? I don't mean all the lines of everything you sell, I just mean categories. And then do the same, so you have the categories in sales, and do the same for the cost of goods, so that you know which part of your business is more profitable. Because there's things you're doing in your business that you may think are really profitable, but they may not be. And if you're going to do any marketing and any selling, you're normally better to go for the higher profitability ones. But you need the information to do that. So it's just one thing on here that you need to be aware of, is to split sales, split your cost of goods. Balance sheet. Your balance sheet is a snapshot in time. It's like a photograph. So the profit and loss is like a movie because it's always moving along. Each week, each month, it's moving. Balance sheet is now. This is what it looks like. And it tells you your wealth. It tells you how much people owe you, how much you owe people, how much your assets are, how much your liabilities are. Most people look at a profit and loss once a year. In my country, anyway. With the accountant, once a year. Same in Vietnam? No? Okay. When I work with my clients, I look at the balance sheet once a month. Because we want to make sure that the balance sheet numbers are going in the right direction. So if you don't understand your balance sheet or you don't understand the power of looking at it on a regular basis, then you need to talk to your coach and get them to help you set up your profit and loss and your balance sheet together. These are some of the things that I set up with my clients to look at all the numbers. Profit and loss, balance sheet, statement of cash flow. You have different types of cash flow that come into your business, and you need to track that. Cash flow forecast. Cash flow forecast is like a budget. So it's knowing what's going to happen in the future. So a profit and loss is what happened in the past. A cash flow forecast is predicting what is going to happen in the future. It is fantastic for making business decisions. It's fantastic if you want to invest in your business with new equipment or new machinery or new vehicles, new people. You can see what's happening in the cash flow forecast and when it is the best time to make a purchase. Margin analysis. Knowing the margin of each product or service in your business is very important. When I was an engineer, I used to run 4 businesses. I was an engineer employed at a dairy factory where they processed milk, and it was a full-time job, 40 hours a week. But I ran 4 other businesses. All those 4 businesses were profitable, and they were all systemized. They all ran without me. I had a big supermarket. I had a child care center. I had a bulk delivery system. And I had a silage chopping business, which silage is when you cut the grass to very short with a machine, and then you store it for the winter to feed the cows. So you probably do something similar in Vietnam, maybe, no? But that was a big business, the silage business. But all these businesses were systemized and running without me. Now, I had to know what was going on in each one of these businesses, what was happening. And so I had to have the right numbers coming to me from each business. And these are some of the things that I was tracking. And you can do this as well. Once you know which numbers to track in a business, you can run many businesses at the same time. As long as you have really, really good numbers. Because then you can make really, really good decisions. The lead source. This is where your customers are coming from. Even if you have a clothing business where the customers are coming to you, you should be asking, where did you find me? How did you find me? Everybody in this room should be asking their customers, how did you find me? So that you know where people are coming from and what marketing is working and what marketing is not working. Then the lead conversion. When someone comes to you as a customer, do they actually buy something from you? And how many of them buy? If 10 customers come to you, how many buy from you? That's your conversion. So if you have 10 come to you and 7 buy, your conversion is 70%. Now, I've always found it's easier to increase that conversion than it is to go and find more customers. Because those people are coming to you now. So let's work on the conversion. But many business owners don't measure it. It's crazy. The customers are coming to you. Let's measure how many are buying from you. Average dollar sale. Some people will buy a little bit from you, and some people will buy a lot. We're looking for the average that people are buying from you. Average dollar sale. And the retention rate is how long does a customer stay with you and continue to buy from you? How many months, how many years do they stay with you? Because it's easier to retain a customer than it is to go and find a new one. And there's many ways you can do that. We call it, in Action Coach, we call it number of transactions. And I'll show you the system that we use. Many of you will have seen the 5-way system, but I want to show you a couple of new things on it. Yep, cool. Nice. So, this is the 5 ways. This is used by 15,000 businesses or more every week around the world. And it starts with the number of leads, the number of people who are coming to you, multiplied by the conversion rate, how many you convert, gives you the customers. The customers multiplied by the number of transactions and multiplied by the average dollar sale gives you the revenue for the business. And then the revenue times the margins, the profit margins, gives you the profit. So many of you have seen this already. Here's what I want to show you. This is the first place to look on the 5 ways. The profit margins. Because a lot of business owners say to me, I would like more customers, or I would like more profits, or I'd like more revenue. If I was to go into a business and start doing marketing, and there was very small profitability from the product or service, then I have to do a lot of marketing to make more money in the business. But if the margin, the profit margin is very high, then you only need a few more customers and it will make a lot more money. Now the other danger is, and I saw a coach in New Zealand do this. He said to the business owner, it was a business that made kitchens, in a house, And the kitchens were the cheap kitchens, about, in New Zealand, $8,000. So an expensive kitchen in New Zealand is maybe $40,000. So these were $8,000. And he said to the business owner, these kitchens you're making, how much money do you make? And he said, I've done all the numbers, and we make $500 out of each kitchen. And the coach said, great. Let's do this. And so the coach increased the marketing and got a lot more customers coming. And they started selling a lot more kitchens. And the business owner was happy. Wow, we are selling lots of kitchens. This is great. And then about 3 months later, the kitchen guy rang the coach and said, hey, we have no money. We can't pay our team. And the coach thought, that's strange. We're doing more kitchens. And so he went back to the kitchen guy and he said, let's do the numbers on your kitchens. Let's do them really accurately. And when they went through the numbers and did it really, really accurately, they found they were losing $500 on each kitchen. So when they increased the number of customers and the number of kitchens sold, they were making the business fail faster. Now, there's a lesson for coaches in the room here as well, because this coach was clever. He was a good coach, but he didn't check the numbers well enough with the owner. So as the business owners and the coaches, you need to work to get very accurate figures for your margins of your products and services, so that you know before you start marketing, before you start increasing conversion, you know that you're making money. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up. Yes. Good thumbs. Very good thumbs. Okay. So the first place is margins. Every business in this room should be looking at very accurate margins. What are you making out of every product and service? Second place to go is conversion rate. And the reason that I use conversion rate next is because you are already getting people into your business. So if your conversion rate is 50%, that means you are wasting leads. You're wasting marketing because the conversion's not high enough. So you need to be working on conversion next. Get your margins right, then work on your conversion. The coaches in this room will help you with ways to increase your conversion. We have lots of strategies. The third place I go is average dollar sale. And the reason is that when people come to buy something like this, they want to pay you money so that they can buy this. Why wouldn't you say to them, hey, you like this? Would you also like to buy one of these? Because the person is with you, they trust you, they like you, so why not offer them something else to buy? These strategies I've talked about so far don't cost you any money. The most expensive thing on this list for your business is the leads, because leads is marketing. And marketing normally costs you money or time or energy. So the next place to go is transactions. Now remember I said transactions is how many times they come and buy off you again and again and again. And so we have a lot of strategies to get people to come back and buy from you again and again. The simplest one is keeping in touch with your clients, keeping in touch with your database, communicating with them, not trying to sell them, just communicating with the people who have bought from you. If you want strategies for people to come back and buy from you, talk to your coaches as well. They'll give you lots of strategies. We use a strategy sheet like this. This has 345 strategies for each one of the 5 ways: for leads, for conversion rate, number of transactions, average dollar sale, and profit margins. You can see there's lots and lots of things we can do to help you make more profitability. The challenge is, where do you start? And that's where you need some guidance, because you can't implement everything on those lists in every business. You have to define it to a few small strategies for your business. We work in 90-day cycles. So every 90 days we do another business plan. Next 90 days, another business plan. So in that 90 days, we work with business owners and put maybe one or two strategies from each section, and just work on those things. Little small changes, big results. Yep. So this is a concept of small changes, big results as well. This is something that a friend of mine designed. And it is a pie. And that pie represents all the profit opportunities in your business. So each slice is a profit opportunity. It might be to look at an expense in your business and see if we can negotiate it. It could be looking at the margins in your business. It can be all these different things. What we do is we say, okay, let's remove a slice from the pie. So we look at one piece and we look at ways we can do it better. And we look at ways we can improve it. Maybe we can increase the price on it. Maybe we can decrease the cost. And then, when we've finished looking at it, it's bigger. And we put it back in the pie, and the pie becomes bigger. So we go around each section to make the pie bigger. This strategy is called divide to multiply. So you divide something into many parts, you improve each part, and then you put it back together, and it multiplies the result. There are many things in your business that you may not be looking at that you could really make a big difference in your business if you looked at them as a piece and said, how can we do this better? Maybe do some critical thinking. How do we do this better? How can we buy it better? How can we sell it better? What can we do with it? Every part of your business. and then the profitability of your business will increase. Another concept I love is the difference in sell price and buy price. And so here we have a product that we buy for $8, say $8 US, and we sell it for $12. So the profit is $4. Now, if we were to increase the price by $1, just $1, from 12 to 13, and we went back to the supplier and we said, hey, we're buying these for $8. We buy a lot from you. Could we buy them for $7? And you negotiate the buy price by $1. So now we buy at $7 instead of $8. If we did this up and down, we increase the profitability of that product by 50%. Now, it hasn't cost anything to do that. It's probably cost some time to make a phone call to the supplier. It might have cost some time to talk to your coach about it, about how to negotiate with the supplier. But it hasn't cost you much money. And it's given you 50% more increase on that product, on that profitability on that product. So it's another way of thinking about your business, is how can I look at every part of the business and buy it for a little bit less and sell it for a little bit more. And stop discounting. The problem with discounting is this. This product here we have is being sold for $100. The profit is $20. If we raise the price by 10%, we actually increase the profitability by 50%. But if we give a discount of 10%, we reduce the profitability by 50%. That's a huge difference. Now, in your culture, but also in my culture, people want to get a bargain and they want to negotiate. And I've seen this all around the world. And people in China say the same thing. They say, we have to give a discount. We have to. We have to. And I say, no, no. So, I want to talk a little bit about added value and USP. First, on pricing in your business. If you have a business that has lots of products, let me use a supermarket as an example. If you had a supermarket like I used to have, we had thousands of items. When it comes to putting the price up on items in your supermarket, it is easy to say, okay, let's put everything up by 5% or 10%. But the problem with that is that some items in the supermarket are price sensitive. What that means is, if you put the price up on this item and this item and this item, then customers won't come to you. So in some businesses, there are products that are price sensitive. So in my supermarket, I knew that there was products that were price sensitive. Milk, bread, eggs, newspapers, Coca-Cola, cigarettes, and many other things. But I also knew there was a lot of items that weren't price sensitive. So when it came to chocolate biscuits or toilet paper or many other things, I could raise the price of those things and nobody cared. They just paid them. Most business owners don't raise the pricing in their business because they're afraid they're going to lose customers. But if you don't raise the pricing each year of different items in your business is actually declining because the cost of living is going up each year. So your profits, or the power of your profits, the buying power of your profit, is going down each year. So you need to make a little bit more profit each year because the cost of living is going up. So it's very important to look at your pricing regularly. With my clients, we look at it every 6 months. And some things we don't move the price on, some things we do. But we're always looking for where can we put this up. Now, when you put up pricing, you also want to give the customer the best possible service. So you need to look at that side of your business as well. Back on the 4 pillars, the foundation, there was a thing called delivery mastery. So there was money mastery, time mastery, destination mastery, delivery mastery. What that pillar is about is giving the best possible service you can to your customers. And people will actually pay a little bit more to buy your product or your service if you give them amazing customer experience. People all over the world tell me, it's about the money, it's all about the money. But it's not. Money is one thing. Customer service is another thing. Delivery on time is another thing. Reliability is another thing. All of these things you can add value to your business and you can have the highest pricing. In the marketplace, you actually want to be one of the highest priced companies so that you've got good profit margin. So to do that, you have to make sure that you give the best possible experience to your customers. Does that make sense, guys? Good stuff. So, when it comes to pricing, look at the items that you're selling the most of. So look at it by quantity. So, say the flowers that were given to me by this lady, which was fantastic. If I was selling those flowers and I was selling 2 a month of those flowers, if I put the price up on those flowers, I don't make much more money. Say I put the price up by $5. I sell 2 more a month. I sell 2 a month. I made $10 more for the month. What you need to look at is what are the things in your business that you're selling hundreds of or thousands of every month or every year. Say this product here, I was selling 300 of these every month. And I put the price up by $2. So I put the price up on the flowers, $5, but I put the price up on here, $3. I'm selling 200 of them a month. That's an extra $600 per month on one product. I worked with a music store years ago, and they have those little picks, guitar picks. You know? Yep. And I said to him, in his store, what do you sell the most of? And he said, guitars. And I said, no, I don't think so. And I said, can you run a list by quantity of all your products? And he ran this list, and the guitar picks, he was selling 4,000 per year. 4,000 guitar picks. Little piece of plastic. And he was selling them for 50 cents. And I said to him, could we put the price up to $1? So could we double the price? And he said, yeah, I think so. Good. So a couple of weeks went by, and then I did a coaching session with him, and one of the homework things was put the price up. And I said, did you put the price up? And he said, I put the price up to $1.20. So it was 70 cents increase multiplied by 4,000. $2,800 profit, extra profit in the business. Now, $2,800 for a year, it's good, but it's not a lot of money. But that's just one product. So the next thing we looked at after the guitar picks was the strings. How many strings he's selling. And then how many drumsticks he's selling. And then the music books. All the things in the business by quantity. So if you're looking at pricing in your business, the first place to look is go to the things that you're selling the most of. Go to the highest quantity items and start there. And then talk to your coach about how much you're going to move the price. And it's the same with negotiating the buy price. Go to the highest quantity items. Can I just check on time with someone? Where's Leo? Are we finished? Okay. So guys, I've got some more slides, but we have run out of time today. I always put too much into my presentations. But what I want to know is, have you learned some things that could help you with your business today? So give me a thumbs up. Yep. Awesome. You have been fantastic. I thank you very much for your time today, and I'm going to hand back to Leo.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thưa các anh chị, một trong những cái điều mà Andrew cũng như là chúng tôi luôn luôn nhắc nhở các anh chị, có những thứ trong cái nội dung ngày hôm nay nó không phải là quá mới với các anh chị. Tuy nhiên có một cái điều mà chúng ta sẽ cần phải làm là, mặc dù nó không mới, nhưng vấn đề chúng ta cần phải quan tâm là thực sự chúng ta đã làm nó một cách nghiêm túc hay chưa. Những cái thói quen mỗi một buổi sáng, chúng tôi biết rất rõ là thậm chí đến bây giờ có những khách hàng của chúng tôi họ vẫn luôn luôn thắc mắc là tại sao tôi phải làm những việc đó vào mỗi một buổi sáng. Thì chúng tôi hy vọng rằng là sau cái bài vừa rồi, sau những gì các anh chị đã được training trong 2 ngày vừa rồi, các anh chị có một cái quyết tâm lớn hơn trong cái việc là làm những việc rất nhỏ mỗi một ngày thôi, nhưng một ngày nào đó từ từ nó sẽ giúp các anh chị có những kết quả lớn. Các anh chị có đồng ý điều đó không ạ? Dạ. Ai trong số các anh chị cam kết là bắt đầu từ bây giờ chúng ta sẽ có những thói quen nhỏ nhỏ mỗi một ngày và làm tốt điều đó? Dạ, cảm ơn các anh chị, cảm ơn các anh chị. Ok, bây giờ chúng ta sẽ kết thúc nội dung sáng ngày hôm nay ở đây. Và chúng tôi còn 15 phút nữa. Với những anh chị nào đã mua sách rồi thì Andrew sẽ dành thời gian để ký tặng các anh chị cái cuốn sách mà các anh chị vừa mới mua. Và vị trí ký không biết ban tổ chức ký ở trong này hay ngoài kia ạ? Dạ. Ký sách tại đây luôn trên sân khấu ạ. Có cái bàn, vậy thì nhờ các ok. Những anh chị nào muốn được ký tặng cái cuốn sách của mình thì các anh chị vui lòng mang giúp sách lên sân khấu để Andrew sẽ ký với các anh chị, cho các anh chị ha. Và cảm ơn các anh chị một lần nữa vì các anh chị đã có mặt ở đây. Và chúc các anh chị có những cái ngày nghỉ cuối tuần tuyệt vời bên cạnh gia đình của mình. Cảm ơn tất cả các anh chị ạ. Dạ, có lẽ là chúng ta nên giống như những lần trước chúng ta sẽ sắp hàng. Dạ, chúng ta sẽ sắp hàng ha. Okay, you can choose this. Yes, for Sunny. Yes, one by one.
Was it okay?
Yes.
It's good? Okay.
Okay.
I had about 10 more slides.
So you can sit here and
They'll come through. You want photos as well?
sorry.
Ok, các anh chị, chúng ta sẽ chỉ đủ thời gian cho việc ký thôi ha. Chúng ta sẽ không thể chụp hình được, cho nên là thôi các anh chị cứ lên dần lần lượt đi ạ.
Đường tôi đi còn xa lắm, còn bao hoang mang yêu phiền lo lắng.
Dạ, chúng ta cứ lên dần
còn
đi
trong
ạ.
tâm
Dạ.
tâm mang theo những nghi ngờ, và con đường kia quá dài, và đôi chân
Dạ, đi xuống đường này chị, đi xuống đường này cho nó chứ không đi.
chẳng biết ngày mai.
Ok, chúng ta đi lên và đi xuống đường bên này ha.
Ra sao vì cuộc sống đâu là dễ dàng, và những khó
Dạ,
khăn
có
còn
từng
vô
người một ạ.
vàn để thử thách ta lòng vững vàng, để gạt đi những hoang mang, vì lòng quyết tâm còn vô bờ, chặng đường bước đi còn bất ngờ, và đỉnh núi cao vẫn đón chờ ngày ta bước chân lên đón bình minh. Yêu trong gai nhiều lo lắng, nhiều khi cô đơn trong lòng buồn lắm, về xung quanh ta đôi khi thấy đơn đờ. Nhiều gian nan, nhiều khốn khó, nhiều khi mây đen bao bùng mưa gió, nhiều khi mơ ước trở